Hey everyone, welcome to another session of the Google Plus Platform Office Hours. So this week we're going to be watching a really cool demo of a really cool hack that was written by some students at University of Washington. And we have one of them on now and hopefully some more later who will field some questions that we're going to talk a little bit about their hacking experience on the Hangouts App platform. And then after that, we're going to field some questions that you either asked ahead of time or you can ask us live now. There's actually a link in the post on Google Plus Developers page. So I guess to get started, let's do some introductions. So we're just going to go around. First, we're going to start with everyone in the room here at the Googleplex. I'm Jenny Murphy. I'm a developer programs engineer here at Google. And I work on the Google Plus platform, mostly on the REST APIs. And I'm also kind of emceeing this video. And next to me I have...
I'm Chirag. I'm also a developer programs engineer. I also work on the Google Plus platform, and I also work on the Google API PHP client library.
Well, and I'm Jonathan Berry, developer advocate on Google Plus. I deal a lot with Hangouts, like that.
And how about our guests, starting with the green background?
Hey, I'm Sui. I'm an undergrad computer science student from University of Washington. And yeah, I'm a senior this year.
Cool. And last but not least, Min?
Hello, I'm Min. I'm also in the computer science engineering major, and I'm senior this year too.
Cool. So we're going to switch over now. Because they were writing a Hangouts app, we can't actually show you a Hangouts app in an on-air Hangout yet. We're going to do the really crude method of playing a video that they recorded of their really cool hack. So we're going to switch over now, so bear with us as we kind of switch some microphones around. We'll be back in a sec.
Oh, hi everybody. So we built this Google Hangout Karaoke application, which is called Google Idol. Now we're going to give you a brief introduction of how to use it.
So now we'll be showing our search and add song feature. So we're going to go to add song, and then we're going to look for Britney Spears.
I can't.
Baby One More Time. Click search, and then we get a bunch of videos. I think maybe this one might be nice. And I have just clicked on this music video, and then it will add it to the queue that we have on the left. On the right, you can see buttons for different sound effects. So here we have do sound, laughing sound, applauding, and boo. And at any time during the song session, users can click on the sounds to make sound effects. And we also have two instrumental sounds that can be also played at any time. So drum and also piano. And the users can use these to enhance their karaoke experience. And to play a video or karaoke video, we can just click on the video in this song queue area to our left. So click. And it appears in this center screen. For the demo, we decided to sing Jingle Bells. We had other songs in the previous version of the demo, but because of copyright issues, we tried to look for songs that were written way before the copyright years. And so here's Jingle Bells. Yeah. Hold on. jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh. Over the field we go, laughing all the way. Ha ha ha. Making spirits rise. What fun is to ride and sing on a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells. Why am I the only person singing? It's open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow, the one-horse open sleigh. Over fields we go, laughing all the way, ha ha ha. Making spirits bright. What fun is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells. What fun it is to ride the one-horse open sleigh. Jingle all the way. One-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle, jingle all the way. Fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, come on. One cool feature of our app is the real-time voting. So while someone is performing or at any time, we can all cast vote. So here, I'll cast vote 2, and Sue vote something, and then Min. Okay, and in real time, our vote changes, so it kind of reflects what we all think about the current song and current performance.
The light is controlled by voice.
So now you can see the spotlight effect.
Okay.
So the speed of light actually controlled by your volume. So let's see.
Min.
So whenever like one of the person making some noise, like the dots are speed up. Say something.
Min, say something.
Huh? I don't see the dots.
I see
I can
it.
see it.
I don't see the.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Min, keep talking.
Well,
Just say something. Say hi.
I.
Okay.
Okay.
That's so cool. Why it works like that?
Okay, so you've now seen a Hangout app running in a video, in a web browser, in a Hangout screen share in your web browser. So if that wasn't enough pillaring and letterboxing, I don't know what is. In post-production, we're going to clean that up. So if you didn't get a great view of that video, it'll be spliced in once we upload to YouTube. So thanks for bearing with us with that experiment. But the app was awesome.
Thank you.
It was really cool work. So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you guys a couple questions, or actually 5 questions, about your development experience. So just chime in, either of you, or you both can answer it if you like. So have either of you, or did anyone on your team have any development experience writing real-time applications like that before, where there's collaboration between a bunch of people?
I have done some like real-time chatting application before, but it wasn't like real-time gaming. And I also done like a couple other like hackathon events, like for everyone. Like I built like this little like Android like game application for toddler, and it was like a math game, like using speech recognition technology. But I don't think I haven't done any like social gaming things. I think that's my experience.
Well, for me, I really didn't have any experience before in the Hangout app. Mainly it was just developing web applications, nothing real time. Well, not to any real time aspect to it. So yeah, that was first time for me.
Well, I just want to know, what was your first time experience? Since you guys never really have done anything like that. Did you find it hard? Was there learning curve?
Yeah, I think the hardest part actually was the initial setup stage and then the final integration stage. So like we have to spend like one day before to get familiar with the API and try to set up the sample application and make sure all the configuration are like set up correctly. And also I think like our Google Hangout API is using some sort of WebSocket technology, so we have a lot of like state, like state exchange state, those kind of things. I haven't really done those things before, so it takes me a while to get familiar with the concept, like how to add states and remove states and then like exchange states, like those kind of things.
So when you say a while, how long was the hackathon?
It was 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So relatively short in the scan season. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you guys actually do all that development in 24 hours during the hackathon? Because that's a really polished hack.
Yeah. Oh well. I was I would say it wasn't that polished after that 24 hours. I have to spend like a day afterward to like actually polish the UI. But for like limited to that 24 hours, I think we did a good job. And then we actually used up the entire 24 hours. We didn't get any sleep at all. Like that was how it was. Yeah. But we were really determined though. We think we were gonna win something.
Wow, that's really some dedication there. That's very impressive. So while we were developing it, what did you find the most challenging part of your experience?
Min, you wanna take it?
Well, I think because we weren't familiar with the API itself, we had to read a lot of documentation. So before the competition, we were sort of experimenting with the sample applications, and so that helped a little bit. But when we actually were developing application, we couldn't really sort of. We did use some of their codes to sort of tailor to our application, but it was very limited in some aspect. And so I guess the learning curve of learning the APIs and the technologies, and the very fact that we're just using JavaScript to make an application was sort of a challenge in and of itself. Other than that, I mean, I guess another challenge was the fact that we couldn't do the main feature that we were thinking of. So we were trying to come up with a way to share the video after the Hangout. So recording a video and audio files and then sharing it. That was sort of our goal, but at that time, I don't think the Google API supported that, at least not to my knowledge. And so we had to sort of work around that and come up with the new features. So yeah, I guess that was our biggest challenge, other than the developing aspect.
Well, given the challenges you face, you guys did some amazing stuff. So this kind of leads into my next question. What is on your dream list for Hangouts apps? What feature would you really like to see added to the platform for this application or any other things you're brainstorming?
Okay, so as he mentioned before, like we're really expecting doing the recording part, but like I know Google Hangout has recording feature, but maybe not for API, to my knowledge.
You're right. That's not available yet.
Okay, so so yeah, so we were thinking it would be cool like to recap like the entire like karaoke experience, and like people are having a lot of fun like afterward. Another thing we were thinking is like, was there a way like to manipulate like the speaker's voice, so we can add like more like DJ mixing effect, like auto tone, like those kind of things, so make the experience like cooler. So yeah.
That would be really cool. Auto tune and like Hangout Karaoke would probably help a lot of us singers.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now that you've written that neat application, what's next for that app? Are you going to continue development on it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about them. I definitely wanna like keep working on this, and also if possible, we can collaborate with people from like your team or like whoever interested, so we can like more exposed to like more available technology we can use and plug into our like application.
Great, great. Well, that's all the questions on my list for today. So do you guys have anything you'd like to add before we go and field questions from the community?
Nothing.
Well,
I was just going to ask, you talked about how you're going to enhance this app. Do you have any ideas for a new app that you guys are looking at?
A new app?
Yeah. Are there any crazy things you want to start maybe in more than 24 hours?
Maybe not a Google Hangout application, but there were a lot of like mobile application I want to make. Maybe a Google Hangout mobile application, a mobile version of this.
Sure, cool idea.
yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
If we have features like that, you'll be the first to hear. We'll definitely get them in right away.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Okay, so shall we switch over and answer some questions from the
Yep.
developer community?
So as always, we post on our resource page the topic for this week or description of the office hours, and then people can just add inline comments with questions they have. As usual, we have a bunch of feature requests, which we're always happy to see and take that as feedback. We like to refer those off to the feedback tool, and as we mentioned, there's a feedback tool on the lower left-hand side. That's the best place to submit feature requests around the web experience. Each mobile app has its own feedback mechanism for that as well. But for developer questions, we have a few. Let's see.
Do you want me to ask you the media starter one?
Yep. So Joshua asked about media starters. So his question is, in the media starter app example, it mentions only one media resource can be active at a time, image or audio. Does this mean I need to hide the image overlay to play an audio file and vice versa? Or does it mean I can have one of each type? So this is a good question. Definitely, for anybody who hasn't looked at the media stuff, it's really awesome and interesting part of our API. The way the plugin works, if you overlay an image or if you play a sound, that uses a piece of memory. And in the first release, memory management was good, but limited. So we recommended only to do one overlay at a time and not to swap too many, because then you're going to run into these bad states of memory. The plugin is being constantly improved, so we hope to get to a place where you can actually have multiple overlays and then swap between them. This would give you an animation effect. You can try that today, but it's probably going to work, and different systems with more or less memory will behave differently. In subsequent releases, we're just going to be improving the plugin better and better, so you can now reliably do that. Yeah, I haven't tested it lately, but there will be an upcoming plugin update that should be able to support that. The API won't change, so you can still do that with the API today, just better memory management.
Very cool. So I'm going to ask a question to you, Jonathan.
Yes.
So it appears several places in the stream. People are asking, how do I get Hangouts on Air?
Yes, I actually posted a link to our common FAQs in that thread. Right now, users are selected by Google who can host Hangouts on Air. They reach out to us. We're expanding this growing whitelist. And of course, reach out and we'll try to see if we can accommodate you. as we're building out the infrastructure, as we're building out the product, we're slowly adding people to that user base. When it's ready for global and general availability, the Plus page is a great place to learn about when that's going to be available.
Great. So should I ask the next one?
I don't.
Oh, sure. So I'll ask another one. So Koso K asks, when can we expect to have a menu on the left that lists all the Google posts that we have +1? Not referring to the profile tab, which lists external sites we've +1, but instead the content that's in Google+. To many of us here, this is the missing important feature. There are favorite posts. It would be incredibly useful to have that list. So, would you like that? Or I can answer it. So this is a great feature request for the Google Plus application. It's not something that is really key to the platform itself, so we really can't talk to it too much. But there's a great little send feedback tool in the bottom corner of, depending on which language you're using, bottom left or bottom right corner of plus.google.com. So I strongly recommend you take this feedback, hit that button, and then describe it in detail. And all of that feedback gets read. It all goes to a person. You may not get a reply, but some of it gets aggregated, and we listen to all of it.
Okay. Apparently my volume's a little bit low, so I'm going to try to speak a little bit louder. It wasn't a problem last time. Jean-Francois, I'm just not going to butcher their name, but Jean asks, geolocation for Hangout members displayed in the Hangout. That's a great idea. Certainly it's something that could be integrated in the Hangout app. I'll take that as feedback for the Hangouts team, but if you're interested in coding, that sounds like a cool little add-on.
Very cool. So another question, which is not in the comment stream, but I've been hearing a little bit lately, is what is with the new profile badge? So if you didn't notice, yesterday we released a new feature for the Google Plus platform. We released a new social plugin. And it is a badge, just like the badge that was previously available for your Google Plus pages, except it works for your profile. And let me actually bring up an example on my website. You can see it and in action. So I've zoomed in here quite a bit. You can see that I've just taken my personal hub page and I've added the Google Plus badge. And what it allows you to do is it allows visitors to your website to easily add you to one of their circles. So if you have a kind of a hub page or a personal profile page that's on a website, like your blog, for example, this is a great feature you can put there. Let me actually show you the configuration tool for it. So like everything else, you can start at developers.google.com/plus, and you can find it on the plugin section. It's under badge, and now badge has two different configuration tools. And there are two configuration tools because they're just a little bit different. When you go to this page, if you're logged into Google Developers, you're going to see your badge right away. It's going to pre-populate your profile ID. If it doesn't pre-populate, you can hit a button that would be over here to log in, and it will get all set up. Just like the other badge, the configuration options allow you to change the color. So like for my darker layout, you can also change the width so it'll fit in different spots. So you can make it 100 pixels across, for example. And the badge above will change to reflect those tweaks. And then scrolling down, you get the code, which is right here, which is just a few different chunks of code which you paste into your website, and then the badge will just start working. So the first start is the authorship link, which is just how we figure out that link between your profile page and your web page and validate that link. The next section is a big chunk of JavaScript, and this asynchronously loads the JavaScript that renders the badge. Let me try and make it a little bit bigger. It's kind of small up there. This asynchronously includes the JavaScript that will render the badge. And if you notice, it's identical to all the other social plugins. So if you're using a different social plugin, like the +1 button, you don't need to add this again. And finally is the badge itself. So this code at the bottom, zoom in a little more, is the code for the badge itself. So you place this on your page where you want the badge to render. And this is automatically updated based on the changes you made above. So that's the new profile badge. Check it out, and if you have any questions, you know where to find us.
I just want to add a pro tip. You mentioned that if you're logged in, it automatically adds your Google Plus ID. But if you're building a site for somebody else or for a friend, you can actually take their Google Plus ID off their profile and create a badge for them, right?
That's correct. So if you go to somebody's profile page, let me zoom in quite a bit. You can see your ID is at this number that's in the URL when you're viewing their profile. So if I'm viewing this person's profile, who just happens to be me in this silly example, I can go over and paste it into here, and I just pasted the same number over it because it's me, and then it will create a badge for that person.
We have a follow-up from Joshua. When the app is hidden because of clicking on the full video feed or settings, etc., and then you click the app tab, it seems to trigger the app to load again, including is API ready? Is this intended, or do we detect if the app has been previously loaded so as to not call init functions again? So I think to answer your second question is we have a visibility is visible, and that's the callback you want to register whether or not the app is being currently shown. I'll have to reach out to you directly to see what you mean, because that might just be a bug, because there's a developer sandbox, this is custom environment, and then yeah, that sounds like a bug to me, and we can look into it further. But for the visibility stuff, yeah, there's you just register a callback for is visible, I believe is the right API call, and then you can say whether or not your app is being used by the current participant.
Yep, Hangout apps are still in developer preview, so there occasionally are little bugs and bumps like that. So thanks for pointing it out to us. We'll dig into it after we finish recording. And did you verify that you gave him the correct call?
It's different a little bit because we renamed the app the events in v0.2, but it is on appvisible.add or .remove. So that's if you go to developers.googleplus.com. Click on the Hangouts link. There's a API reference, and that has all of our events. I'm sure you're looking at that, but for anybody who hasn't seen it, in the Hangouts namespace, we have, is the API ready? Is the app visible? Things like that. So your app can be reactive to states and events.
Great. So we're going to check the questions feed one more time, but we may be pretty much done for this week. So does anyone in the room have anything they'd like to discuss or ask questions about at this time? Great. Great.
I just have a question, sorry. I'm just wondering, do we have a way to publish our application? Is there like an app store or like a market or something for Google Hangout application?
So the platform itself is still in developer preview. During the developer preview, the only way to add additional users is directly to include them into your team.
Okay.
In terms of distribution, discovery, and all that, that will be defined and revealed once we go out to developer preview and it's a general. But certainly the idea is to not keep these as toys. And to have people actually use and enjoy your apps. And so more information for that will be coming as available.
In other words, we're working on it. Hang tight. It'll be awesome when it's ready.
All right.
I promise awesome.
+1.
Yeah. Great. Oh, play that.
I have one other question. I was having trouble getting onto the Hangout because it was keep freezing up when I was trying to join. What ended up solving was I exited the Gmail and or the Google Plus page once I joined the Hangout, right before you entered the Hangout. I exited all the other application and it worked. Is that a bug on my part, or is it? And I think our other teammate is having the same problem. She couldn't join because it was keep freezing. Once.
My first reaction is it might be a bug in the plugin, or a particular bug given your environment and operating system. After this, we'll just chat to learn about your particular setup and see if you have an old plugin version. There's a couple of scenarios where that might be the issue, but yeah, the point of Hangouts is to be part of Hangouts, so I classify that as a bug.
Right.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think unless anyone has anything else they'd like to chat about, I think that wraps it up for this week. So thanks a lot for bearing with us, everyone out there. It took us a couple more minutes to get started than usual, and the video was tiny, I know, but check it out in the polished version that we'll be posting to youtube.com/Google Developers. All right. Bye, everybody.